This is Mboya and you're watching DTX-TV.
On this episode, we'll highlight a journalist who's won a prestigious award on his moving piece about an ancient African race in India. This is Mboya.
Well, I've just returned from India, where I came face to face with an African tribe that lives deep in the heart of an Indian forest. Come with me into the world of the cities who live in abject poverty, shunned and almost forgotten. My search for these Africans, probably Kenyans, started right here in Nairobi, Kenya.
Welcome, Mboya.
Thank you for
Or
having me.
Tom.
Thank you. Thank you.
So congratulations. Can you tell us the official name of that award that you got?
I got the CNN African Journalist of the Year 2012, and quite frankly, that was a very humbling experience for me. But also it gave me a great sense of pride, knowing that, you know, out of about 2,000 entries across 42 countries in Africa.
Oh wow!
You know, I was the last person standing, so that's quite something for me.
So where were awards being held, and who held the awards?
The awards were held this time around in Zambia, Lusaka, and some of the big names that are involved are CNN and MultiChoice. And basically what they do is they're trying to ensure that journalism, you know, grows in the African continent. So every year they sort of allow people to send in entries of stories that have been done in Africa, about Africa, and there is a thorough process of judging. There's a panel that sits in London, and they go through all the entries, and I guess they have their own benchmarks of determining which stories make it to the final, probably 10. And then all of those people converge at in one place. This time around it was in Zambia. And you know, and then they declare who the overall winner is.
Let's journey back. When did you first decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Good question. I mean, I have a background in marketing, and I sort of, you know, realized that there was something missing, there was a gap. So it wasn't until 2003 that I made the switch. Okay, I went into journalism, and I resigned from a well-paying job and started off, you know, earning almost zero.
Yeah,
you know,
as all journalists do.
Yeah, exactly, and I think a lot of people, family included, did not understand why I made that move. But now with hindsight, I think it was the smartest move I ever made for me.
So in Kenya, you're also an anchor, correct?
In fact, in Kenya, I'm an anchor, and anchors traditionally are more indoor people. But I'm fortunate enough to work for an organization that allows me from time to time to go out and do stories, and I think that makes, you know, is good for a 21st century news anchor, because then you are able to do your job of anchoring, you know, even better. In this day and age, there's very high levels of competition, so viewers are usually very quick to tell which anchors are, doing their job very well, because we are in the business of ratings, and I think that's very important.
So do you feel like anchors now should kind of have the willingness to go outside the studio and get their own stories as well, so that they feel connected with the audience?
Absolutely, no doubt about that. I think in this day and age, it's important that anchors go out to do stories. I personally relish field work because then, as an anchor, you appreciate, the dynamics of reporting, and that makes you smarter at what you do as a news anchor. So certainly, yes, I would encourage other anchors, especially in the region where I work in, to go out and do stories. Yeah.
And with your award, do you see like the international community now having their eye on Africa, since Africa is seen as the back burner kind of continent and doesn't really bring out the best in anything. So now the world is recognizing it in that sense. Do you see that being the trend, or?
Good question. I think I'll shoot straight from the hip. Africa is the next frontier. Africa is the next big thing. For a very long time, the stories that come from Africa have been themed around violence and doom, the dark continent. But I think that stories are about balance. And Africa has her fair share of troubles, but Africa is also a beautiful continent. She smiles. And I think we've got to tell the stories that present Africa and her beauty. And, I would be more than happy to be part of those journalists who are going to tell those beautiful African stories.
Speaking of stories, tell us about your journey to India.
Wow.
And how that experience kind of shaped you. I know it probably changed your life and shaped you to be even a better journalist today.
India, wow. Bahut acha desh hai. What that means is India is a beautiful place, and the story that I did on the African tribe in India, I think, is a story that has generated a lot of interest around the world. It's one of those stories that break you as a reporter, and I'm happy that I was involved in that story. It's a sort of story. I mean, I went to India and spent time with these people who were living right in the middle of a forest, and they've lived there for centuries. Almost unnoticed to the rest of the world. And these people have preserved their African heritage, throughout centuries. And therefore, to me, that was a story that resonated very well with the world. I mean, who would have imagined that in the 21st century, we would have people still living, like the way the cities live, So I went into that story, and I believe as a result I was able to bring out the story in a very powerful way. But I hope and pray that now that the story is out there, we've got to do something.
Right.
We've got to do something.
So when you're searching for stories similar to that, do you, what is your thinking process when it comes to, seeking out stories such as that one? Are you in a room with, by yourself? Are you with other people? Are you, do you dream it? Do you when you're eating dinner and you're just like, I want to go to India and find some Africans.
Okay.
Or next time will you be in Asia finding Africans, or even in parts of the world?
I think that's a very important question, because it borders around how do we sort of identify stories that that probably are big. I think there is no don't know how I
Like
respond
set
to
rules,
that,
yeah.
but what I can say is, as a journalist, it's always good to have your feelers out there. You know, you should have the ability to see beyond the what they call the normal.
Right.
All right, the third eye, for instance, because what that does is, in every forum you find yourself in, there's always a story. But I guess how you then decipher whatever information you have then determines what makes a good journalist or a not so good journalist. I, in particular, like the adrenaline rush, especially when you have to run away from a buffalo.
Where do you see the future of journalism going?
Oh, big in Africa, big time. Africa, as you know, is known for having produced brilliant storytellers. And so what we're doing...
And that's important, you said, storytellers.
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
I mean, from time immemorial, I mean, I remember when we were young, the structure of the family was such that grandmama would always, tell stories, before we went to sleep. Soothing, nice stories, thought-in stories, And I don't know what happened to that, but these are people who were great at storytelling, and yet they never went to any journalism class. So Africa is the next stop, in terms of greatness in the area of journalism. What
advice would you give our younger generation? I feel like the younger generation is getting a bit lazy when it comes to, seeking out stories. They're, really connected to the web and technology and all that. And I feel it's a hindrance to a certain extent. So in order to revert back to the traditional ways of, storytelling, what advice would you give them?
Larry King.
Larry King.
If you may allow me to use him as an example, he was a big brand, very good at interactive sessions. But I know fresh graduates today from college who want to be Larry King overnight. That's not possible. Okay, you've got to go through the processes of growth. Okay, and that takes time. It's a little bit like wine; it matures with time. And so, to the young upcoming journalists, I think the moment you sort of focus and blend it in with passion, and just do the fundamentals of journalism. Sky is the limit.
Okay.
We sort of get mixed up somewhere along the way when you're trying to be somebody else. I think it's good to have somebody as a role model, but it's also it's better to appreciate your internal strengths, your strengths as a person, and allow that to come out.
So what do you like to do for fun other than your work?
I play the guitar.
You play the guitar?
I've done it for 22 years now.
And I didn't bring my guitar.
I wish you did. I wish you did. 22 years is a long time.
Oh wow, 22 years, okay.
Sometimes I'm tempted to blow my own trumpet, but I think 22 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there.
So any CDs in the works?
No, I've not commercialized it. And by the way, I think I'm kind of a spiritual guy.
Okay.
And I think that I've got to do something, because the good book talks about when you have talent, you've got to use it.
Right.
Yeah. Probably, I don't know, maybe the next couple of months I need to do something. Yeah, because I enjoy playing the guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. Both acoustic and electric, but I prefer acoustic because of the type of songs that I play. I play a lot of African rumba. Okay. Nice African rumba.
Yeah.
Some of them are fused, old Luo folk songs, but played in a contemporary way. And so I just wanna archive some of the things that I do. what's the point of having talent and sitting on it?
Yeah. But thank you so much.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you, man.